This is a huge week for Philippine wrestling. This is a huge week for the Manila Wrestling Federation. On July 4, the MWF had a formal contract signing with RJTV to provide wrestling programming for RJTV's upcoming new channel, which is Rock on Manila. Now, the wrestling promotion had teased it on July 2nd with with posts about a TV deal, and by July 3rd, they broke the news that where you will find them on Philippine television, right? So Rock on Manila is a new channel. It's set to launch later this month, and MWF will be the flagship program for the new network. This is humongous news, and first of all, congratulations to MWF. Congratulations to you guys for getting this deal. This is the start of hopefully bigger and better things for you and for the business in general here in this country. The last time a Philippine wrestling company had airtime on local television was with the first Philippine wrestling company. That was Pinoy Wrestling. This was back in 1989, right? And by coincidence, one of the principal backers of that promotion was Ramon Jacinto, and Ramon Jacinto is the owner of RJTV. So now Ramon Jacinto, who had a big hand in the country's first ever wrestling promotion, he's now back in the business, doing business with MWF for his new Rock on Manila network. Now, unless I'm mistaken, MWF is the only active wrestling company in Southeast Asia that has a TV deal. And we're talking about, them being the only company in a region with about roughly 6-8 different wrestling companies, and they're the only one with a TV deal. The MWF getting this deal with RJTV is a giant leap forward. Philippine wrestling was devastated by the pandemic from March 2020 till almost the end of the year in 2021. There were no wrestling events. There were no wrestling shows. The talent did the best they could with podcasts and interviews, but no actual wrestling. They didn't even do no audience wrestling like what happened in places like Japan, right? Or with when WWE and AEW did that sort of bubble setup, right? No, that didn't happen here. They didn't. It was considered not financially viable, and the first wrestling show to break that hiatus, hiatus was MWF doing a year end, no audience, pre-taped show, which they uploaded online as a pay-per-view. That no audience pay-per-view is called Medianoche, and you can still order it from MWF. To go from that no audience pre-taped show and fast forward a year and a half later to getting a TV deal, that's astounding for me. That just shows how much grind the talent, the management of MWF had put in to rebuild their product. Then again, when MWF resumed their wrestling shows, the market itself changed. It seemed to have changed, and I've seen it. I've seen it change. I've attended their shows, and I can tell you that the audiences, the live audiences, were definitely very different from the audiences that attended these wrestling shows back before the pandemic. And when I mean that the audience had changed, I mean that many of the people who attended these shows in 2022 were new faces. They were watching Philippine wrestling, perhaps for the first time ever. They were attending these shows, perhaps for the first time ever. Uh, and they were willing to try something new, even though they may not be familiar with the talent and their move sets and their taunts and whatnot. And the management and talent of Manila Wrestling Federation put in the work to rebuild their company, to rebuild local wrestling. I mean, for most of 2022, uh, if there was a wrestling show that was produced locally, uh, chances are it would be an MWF branded show. And on top of that, MWF were able to secure media appearances for their talent, to hype them up, to hype up their shows, and it it went a long way. It really helped to build their presence, to build their audience. And now here we are. MWF will have a TV show that will launch later this month, and that's astounding. That's amazing. Uh, and I do think having a TV show would help legitimize Philippine wrestling to the rest of the country. Now, granted, just about every wrestling promotion in Southeast Asia has their own YouTube channels. They upload matches to social media. Heck, MWF even has a subscription service on the Gank website where you can watch uh, all the episodes they've taped since they've resumed their operations right last year. Um, but a TV deal, I really do believe a TV deal helps legitimize will help legitimize MWF to a wider audience. Why? Because just about anybody can set up a YouTube channel. A TV show means that there's actual money involved, a lot of money involved. Uh, and the audience knows that. Like, okay, you have a TV show. It may be, and it's going to, I do believe it will help raise MWF's profile in a big way. And I say that because MWF, being the designated flagship program for uh, Rock on Manila, means that they're probably going to get a lot of support from RJTV. This would mean media appearances, maybe a lot of advertising for them. There's going to be opportunities for MWF talent to raise their profile. Now, what comes next would be the various details which MWF would have to address as they prepare to become a TV show, right? So there'll be questions like, uh, what would they do with their subscription service on Gank? Will they still keep that? Will they discontinue it? Another thing which they might have to consider is what changes they would need to make for their tapings, right? Like, for instance, uh, would they have to change the seating arrangements so that the hard cam can see the audience, right? Currently, if you watch MWF programming, you would notice that usually, unless there's a very big show, you don't really see the audience on camera. The wrestlers will be doing their thing, and the wall, which can be seen by the hard cam, is usually empty. So they might have to change that up, put audience members there, so that it'll look more interesting to a TV audience. And other aspects of MWF might change thanks to the TV deal. For instance, the wrestlers might get flashier outfits, or we might get flashier entrances in like smoke machines or even pyro. That'll be amazing. Then there's the contract itself. I'm sure a lot of local wrestling fans, especially the more smarkier ones, I'm sure that they're wondering what are the terms of the deal. Uh, does RJTV have an ownership stake in MWF now? Do they have creative input in MWF programming? I'm not saying this is good or bad. I'm saying this as a fan who's read up on a lot of the backstage goings on at far larger wrestling companies, and I'm sure I'm not the only local fan curious as to what are the specifics of MWF's TV deal. It's just such a huge. This is such a huge change, a huge step up for MWF. This is uncharted territory for them, for hell, for this generation of wrestling company here in the Philippines. This generation of Filipino wrestlers, uh, the most senior members began training in 2014. 10 years later, one company now has a TV deal, MWF, and nobody can predict the future, but still, this is huge. MWF get their shot, and the second half of 2023 is going to be a very exciting, very interesting time for them, for local wrestling. Congratulations again to MWF. Congratulations to Veronica Litton for steering this ship. I wish you nothing but continued success.